Madam Speaker, what we are here today to do, called out in our vocation, is to deal with the very serious business that the people elected us to deal with. Madam Speaker, I am on consistent record, and I'd repeat it again for the Hansard here today, and to the public of Trinidad and Tobago and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago through you. Crime is not a political football and is not something that I am prepared to politicize. Madam Speaker, we're here today to deal with the Bail Amendment Act of 2019. And I'd like to start by putting on the record that we as a government have brought this legislation at the express request of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. You see, Madam Speaker, after all that is said and done, every sensible person, citizen or otherwise, with any element of logic, will accept that there is no singular magic wand solution for crime. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service are charged with the responsibility of dealing with crime and providing a safer and more secure Trinidad and Tobago for us all. This government is completely committed, Madam Speaker, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to providing the police service with the resources and the tools that they deem necessary within reason in their combat against crime. And it is the police service who have asked us to bring this specific legislation that I remind the population, Madam Speaker, the Senate and all of the independent senators appointed by Her Excellency supported not too long ago. And that is a fitting context, Madam Speaker, to move straight into a release by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service on the 24th of June, 2019. And with your leave, Madam Speaker, I read the release as follows. Bail Amendment Bill. Powerful, this is a release from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service on the 24th of June this year. Bail Amendment Bill. Powerful deterrent to suppress shooters in gangs. The intelligence, and I quote, the intelligence agencies have revealed that there are over 50 shooters linked to various gangs, with most being active in taking out hits on opposing gang members. This has proven to be the root cause of a significant number of homicides in this country via gang activity. These individuals walk around with their firearms, knowing quite well that if held, it is usually a simple case of going to court, next day, acquiring bail, and being issued with another firearm to carry out their trade, which involves killing persons in cold blood. Police Commissioner Gary Griffith sees the Bail Amendment Bill as a critical tool to providing both a strong deterrent as well as ensuring that if and when such criminal elements are held, they can remain where they belong. That is the Commissioner of Police of Trinidad and Tobago, and I'll repeat it, Madam Speaker. Police Commissioner Gary Griffith sees the Bail Amendment Bill, which we, the parliamentarians, are here today debating, as a critical tool to providing both a strong deterrent as well as ensuring that if and when such criminal elements are held, they can remain where they belong, where they belong. That's the police service telling us that, the Commissioner of Police. In the last decade, over 75% of homicides were carried out by persons with illegal firearms in this country, and most by a select few. Presently, anyone who is apprehended with a firearm could be released on bail and be free to possibly assassinate the same person who is the informant that caused their initial arrest. This improper system has proven to be a liability in getting law-abiding citizens to come forward and pinpoint possible shooters with illegal weapons. The Commissioner believes that someone who has been arrested for possession of an illegal firearm must not be granted bail. Further, he believes that possession of an illegal firearm is enough for someone to lose their freedom and have bail restricted for 120 days. The Commissioner of Police says this approach takes the guns away from criminals, gets potential cold-blooded murderers off the streets. Commissioner explains that those who speak about constitutional rights being infringed should also be cognizant of the right to life, which is, in fact, the ultimate constitutional right of all citizens. This right is then taken away by cold-blooded criminal elements who are armed with the knowledge that they can walk around with a weapon, and if arrested, they can be released within 24 hours. If the amendment to this bill is not granted, the Commissioner of Police says amendments to this bill would ensure that a criminal is incarcerated for 120 days, allowing victims to come forward with the knowledge and the sense of safety and protection that the perpetrator is behind bars, which also lessens the opportunity for reprisal. If someone is in possession of a firearm, it means that they have the intent to kill an innocent person in cold blood. The intent must be seen as being dangerous as the action. A criminal with an illegal firearm has the capacity and capability to kill dozens of persons in cold blood with just one magazine. Such individuals should not be incarcerated only when they have committed the act. When this law was enforced a few years ago, it proved to be...
While you're typing, put extracts, I can't permit you to read an entire article into this. Remember, it's a debate.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that was coming to the end of what the Commissioner of Police said on behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So, Madam Speaker, putting this debate and this piece of legislation into proper context, we have heard it from the mouth of the Commissioner of Police on behalf of the police service that he leads, that they have requested this. This is not the government passing this legislation or proposing this legislation of its own volition, but rather it is the government partnering with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, giving them the tool that they have requested in their unenviable fight against crime. Madam Speaker, this bill does require a 3/5 majority. And you go directly, Madam Speaker, to Section 5 of the Constitution, in particular, subsection 2F, which says that Parliament may not deprive a person charged with a criminal offence of the right, 3, to reasonable bail without just cause. What that means, Madam Speaker, is bail is discretionary. The right to bail is a prescribed right. And the prescribed right is as stated here. There may be instances where you can be denied bail with just cause. And that is what we're here doing today, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, to give the population an idea of what this legislation is designed to combat. And I would like to hear any single parliamentarian on either side stand up and tell the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago that the following crimes listed as specified offences in Part 2 are crimes that a repeat offender, someone who is convicted of one of these crimes and then gets charged for it again or charged with being in possession of a firearm, should be out on the street, should be in the streets, Madam Speaker, to face any law-abiding citizen. And these are the offences that we are taking the fight to them against, and saying that you should be denied bail if you were convicted of one of these offences and charged again. Or you're out on bail for one of these offences and caught and charged again. These are the following serious offences against citizens and law-abiding citizens. Any offence committed by a person over the age of 18 under the Anti-Gang Act, which is punishable by imprisonment for 10 years or more. We all know, and I'll come to the statistics shortly, that the vast majority of murders being committed out there are being committed by those involved in criminal gang activity. Offences against a person which is punishable by imprisonment of a term of 10 years or more. The AG has referred to this. Dangerous drugs. So it's the trafficking of dangerous drugs punishable by imprisonment for over 10 years. Kidnapping. Any
Madam
sexual
Speaker,
offence.
55, Standing Order 55. I believe the
I'm
AG
reading the
repeated
bill.
everything, and he's just saying
Madam
the
Speaker,
same
I'm
thing.
reading the bill.
Member for Borders P North, St. Anne's West, you may continue.
Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I would like the population of Trinidad and Tobago to note that I am reading expressly from the bill that we're here to debate today. And the opposition don't even want us to refer to the legislation that we're here debating. And I will continue because they don't want the population to hear how serious the offenses are and what we've come here to deal with. What it is, Madam Speaker, is we are asking that persons who are charged with a sexual offense where the alleged victim is a child should not be permitted bail for 120 days. When there are sexual offenses punishable by over 10 years, so that's the rape of the women and children in society, anti-terrorism acts, trafficking in persons. So persons who are trafficking in persons should not be allowed bail for 120 days if they've been convicted and they're found again, and then offenses under firearms. So, Madam Speaker, these are the serious elements of crimes against law-abiding citizens that we're here today to deal with by saying that if persons have already been convicted of any of those crimes and are charged again, or persons who have been convicted of firearm offenses, being in possession of an illegal firearm, and are charged again, they shouldn't be allowed bail for 120 days. In that period, the prosecution has to lay a charge and begin the processing of the evidence in court. And they're not languishing there forever. They have to complete the case within a year. And Madam Speaker, lest there be any attempt to mislead the population of Trinidad and Tobago, coming out of the useful suggestions in the Senate and accepted by this government through the Attorney General, we are not saying that you can't apply for bail. There is a proviso in here that allows that in exceptional circumstances, you can make an application for bail to court, even when you're charged and convicted of these offenses. Madam Speaker, every sensible citizen in Trinidad and Tobago knows that illegal firearms are the biggest threat to the safety and security of all law-abiding citizens. And I'd like to take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to tell the population of Trinidad and Tobago the type of firearms that are being utilized now in committing the most heinous of crimes against our citizens. They are no longer the old revolvers with 2 rounds or the old homemade shotguns. They are now the use of sophisticated, the most sophisticated types of handguns are in the hands of criminals, as well as now assault weapons, rifles, AR-15s, AK-47s, and these types of weapons. And that is what law-abiding citizens are facing. And the government recognizes, Madam Speaker, that law-abiding citizens have a right to feel safe. And we are prepared to work with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, who have requested this specific legislation, as I started off by saying. I also would like to pose this question to all law-abiding citizens, Madam Speaker, through you. Why would any person carry an illegal firearm? A firearm is actually designed to kill. The only and singular purpose of a firearm is to kill someone. There is no other purpose of a firearm. So a person who is caught with an illegal firearm has no right to bear arms, has no right to have a tool in his or her possession that can be used to kill someone. The sole purpose is to kill someone. So what could be wrong with us as a government giving the police the tool to fight firearms out there? They are putting their lives at risk every single day. I don't take on what Doppy says. Madam Speaker, I'd like to refer now to crime statistics. Crime statistics dated the 26th of July, 2019. This is what is produced by the Commissioner of Police and sent to the Minister of National Security. The most recent one I have is from last week, Friday. Coming out of a spate of crime and heinous crimes committed against some of our citizens, where in the space of a week, we faced over 20 murders, all but one committed through the use of illegal firearms. And I want any single parliamentarian, Madam Speaker, to go and tell the population that it is okay to carry illegal firearms. And if you're caught with it and you're charged, as has happened, and then they get a fine of $3,000, sometimes as low as $2,500, back out on the street again, immediately go and pick up another illegal firearm. Tell the population, tell every law-abiding citizen who has suffered or family member has suffered that that is okay and you don't want to support this bail amendment. Madam Speaker, the breakdown of murders for 2019 from the 1st of January to the 26th of July, last Friday, stood at 312 murders. It was the same in the period of 2018. The number of persons charged for the offense of murder, a total of 50. This is from 1st of January to the 26th of July 2019, 50, of which 31 were for murders in 2019. The next statistic I'd like to provide, Madam Speaker, to the population of Trinidad and Tobago is the divisional breakdown of murders. Because you see, Madam Speaker, very often persons like to politicize crime, and they like to draw all sorts of undertone racial references, and sometimes they don't even go undertone in the most overt of ways. Madam Speaker, for the record, and for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to understand what it is we're facing, in the Northern Division, these are statistics of the breakdown of murders from the 1st of January to the 26th of July 2019. In the Northern Division, they recorded the most murders with 25%, or 77 of 312, followed by Port of Spain with 55 of 312, which stood at 17.6%. Then the Western Division with 13.5%, or 42 of 312. Then the Northeastern Division at 12.2%, or 38 of 312. And Central with 11, which is 34 of 312. Notably, reductions in the murders for the period in the Southwestern Division are 30% recording less, followed by the Southern Division, a 44% recording less, and Central, 35.8% recording less. So you see, Madam Speaker, let the population of Trinidad and Tobago know now, via statistics provided by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, data-driven, that it is a complete fallacy, an untruth, and a blatant attempt to mislead the population that certain areas from Central to South Trinidad are not being resourced and utilized, provided with the ability to fight crime. That is untrue, and I rest that case here today. Madam Speaker, to go on with the data provided by the police service, and this is now why we go to firearms and ammunition, illegal firearms and ammunition, and what are being used against our law-abiding citizens. From the 1st of January to the 26th of July 2018, firearms and ammunition found and seized. A total last year of 606. This year, 461. 461 illegal firearms. Add those to over 1,000 illegal firearms taken off the streets in the past year. Ammunition. It used to be in the old days, a criminal held with an illegal firearm would have 2 rounds in a revolver. Now we see extended magazines that can hold up to 33 rounds in a Glock. I spoke about a Glock in the other place. Anyone who knows about firearms will know that a Glock is one of the simplest but most useful and proficient firearms, handguns that exist. You literally pull the trigger, there is no safety but on the trigger, and a round goes off in the direction you point it.
Correct.
A legal licensed firearm holder carries 15 rounds plus 1 in the chamber of a Glock. Every time now we hold a criminal with an illegal firearm, a Glock, they have an extended magazine that can carry 33 rounds. And very often they have the 33 rounds. In the last year, from January to the 26th of July 2018, 10,211 rounds taken off the streets. This year, 6,088 rounds. Every single round is designed to kill a person. A person with a shooter or any criminal with an illegal firearm is carrying the ability of 16 rounds, 33 rounds, and think about the damage that that person can cause. And the statistics show, Madam Speaker, that they are repeat offenders. You heard the Commissioner of Police this week talk about a specific individual where they believe he committed 47 murders. The Attorney General referred to it a short while ago. Each of those murders committed with an illegal firearm. One illegal firearm can pass from hand to hand to hand to hand to be used to commit murders and acts of crime against our law-abiding citizens. And we have come here today at the request of the police service on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, Madam Speaker, to try and keep those persons, those criminal elements who want to commit crime, who are carrying illegal firearms off of the streets. What is wrong with that? I'll get to the anti-gang law. Madam Speaker, it breaks down by division where these firearms are being found. Murders by motive. Murders by motive, Madam Speaker. This is as at the 26th of July 2019. Let the Hansard reflect and record the data provided by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and the Commissioner of Police to me. I said earlier, I said a short while ago, that we have over 300 murders as at last week Friday. Out of those 300 murders, 93 classified as gang-related. 33 classified as altercation. And as we know from the facts of the altercation we see being reported in the newspapers on an almost daily basis, the altercations are gang-related as well. The next category, 48, revenge. Again, reprisal killings. Revenge means the criminal elements that are moving in herds and packs as gangs. 40, for drugs. It is the gangs that are involved in the drugs. You add those four categories of gang-related, altercations, revenge, and drugs, 181 murders. All these are committed by firearms. There is then now a category of unknown. Because within recent times, Madam Speaker, we're finding that there are murders being committed, and it is almost impossible to figure out what the motive behind it was. A couple killed in a car in a trace where the woman was pregnant with a baby. Use of illegal firearms.
Easy catch.
Use of illegal firearms. The difficulty of the person who committed those 47 murders and convicting them for murder is a lot of these murders are being committed in the dead of night, in a trace in an alley, Mentor Alley, some of these places that people don't even know or understand. When I walk in my constituency, Madam Speaker, up in the traces between Belmont, East Port of Spain, and Lower Lavantil, you understand what is going on. You look at some houses and they say the person from that house had to leave, and you see the bullet holes all over the house. Those holes weren't created by a slingshot. It's by use of illegal firearms, Madam Speaker. And that is what we're here today, to keep the persons who want to walk around with illegal firearms off of the streets. Weapons used in the commission of murders from the 1st of January 2019 to the 26th of July 2019. Madam Speaker, this is the most telling statistic, and why we're putting it on the Hansard and the records here today. So for this year up to last week Friday, out of 312 murders, 257 were committed using firearms. Let me repeat that, Madam Speaker. Out of 312 murders, as at last week Friday, 257 were committed using firearms. Therefore, firearms were used to commit 82.4% of the murders to date. So 82% of the murders to date, illegal firearms. The police are begging for this legislation to keep the repeat offenders, the shooters. It is no longer in our society where one had to have any fighting skills, be brawn or anything like that. It is the most obscure, skinny type people walking around, but you just have to pull a trigger. And we want to keep them off of the street. Murders, wounding, and shooting, and they provide the time analysis. This is another important statistic, Madam Speaker. 115 out of 312, or 37% of the murders occurred during the hours of 8 p.m. and 12 midnight. 47 out of 312, or 15.1%, occurred between 8 a.m. and 12 midday. 166 out of 460 murders, or woundings and shootings, committed between those same hours. Serious crimes. 1st of January to the 20th of July. The murders for this year, Madam Speaker, as I said before. But the wounding, so not everyone is murdered with the use of an illegal firearm, but the woundings with firearms and other weapons and shooting with firearms. Last year, same time, 460. This year, 402. So 402 citizens or persons were affected by shooting and wounding with illegal firearms, not including murders, Madam Speaker. Possession of firearm and ammunition. Last year, this time, 774. This year, 578. Persons arrested and charged. So let the population not believe or not think for a moment that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service isn't doing its best and fighting against these illegal firearms. Number of persons arrested from the 1st of January to 20th of July this year for murder, 30. But the number for wounding and shooting, 140. So 140 criminals were arrested this year for wounding and shooting persons. And those are the people we want to keep off the streets. And I heard it being suggested that you want to put them in jail and remand, and they'll be taught about criminality there. So I follow that to the logical conclusion. Madam Speaker, is it being suggested that it is better to have persons who want to carry illegal firearms, who are using them against law-abiding citizens, out among society, walking next to us, than in a prison? Is that the submission that is being made? That could never be. The member from Manaparima is saying fixed remand. Remand is being fixed. For the first time in decades, it is this government that took the decision to spend $56 million to fix remand. It is being fixed.
Not 80 million on offense.
Let's not go to the 80 million with offense, because that is just upsetting. A fence built around nothing. Possession of firearms and ammunition. Madam Speaker, I would like to get full attention of the citizens on this one, because this is what we're here today to deal with. Possession of firearms and ammunition. Number of persons arrested and charged as at the 20th of July 2019 for the year, 704 persons. 704 persons. Add that to the wounding and shooting of 140. That is 844 persons arrested and charged this year for being in possession of illegal firearms, wounding and shooting people, or just having possession of illegal firearms and ammunition. Is it that we want these 800 people to be sitting next to us on the bus, to be sitting next to us on the water taxi, to be waiting for us as we walk to our vehicle at night, to get into our vehicle, or entering our house? Well, we, the government, say no. We, the government, say you're caught with an illegal firearm, go to prison, spend 120 days at the taxpayer's expense, and the prison service are ready for it. In discussions with the Commissioner of Prisons, we will make the facilities available. But it is better that persons with illegal firearms who want to snuff out our lives, Madam Speaker, the government's position is it is better they are in prison than they're outside. I cannot understand the submission that it is okay to have someone who is a known shooter, who is out on bail, caught with an illegal firearm again, and you say, okay, give him bail, him or her bail again. We say, spend your time in prison. Let the police within 120 days prosecute the charge, complete it in the space of a year. But if you have exceptional circumstances, you can apply to a judge or a master of the High Court for bail. So you want to talk about proportionality. They want to talk about proportionality, Madam Speaker. That argument is completely defeated because you provide the back door. Let them go and convince, this is the criminal element, a judge or a master that they have exceptional circumstances and they should be allowed bail, even though they've been convicted and charged once again for one of these heinous crimes that I've referred to. Madam Speaker, repeat offenders, it is a fact, a known fact, that the persons, the criminal element who are carrying the firearms.
Member for Port North St. Anne's West, your original 30 minutes are now spent. You're entitled to 15 more minutes to wind up your presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these shooters and the repeat offenders, this legislation here today, along with legislation that will come to deal with firearms, is designed to keep the repeat offenders off of the streets and outside of mingling with law-abiding citizens, but worse yet, threatening the liberty and the life of law-abiding citizens. I heard it being suggested that this is not a deterrent. How could this be a deterrent? As I started off my presentation, the Commissioner of Police has said this will be a deterrent. Because you see, at the end of the day, no criminal wants his or her liberty constrained. But if they know they're going to be in prison, if caught with that illegal firearm, if even it keeps 2 of them from picking up an illegal firearm, we on this side say that is a victory for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. We hear about the anti-gang legislation, Madam Speaker. And what is the anti-gang legislation? The Attorney General touched on some statistics. Anti-gang legislation, as all of us in this Parliament should know, because we all debated it, not once under this term, but more than once, is not only about the charges under the anti-gang legislation. The anti-gang legislation is another tool for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and our intelligence services. It allows them to monitor, it allows them an express number of crimes, also extra powers of search of premises, and forfeiture. If you're found to be encouraging someone to enter a gang, if someone wants to leave a gang and you're trying to stop them, you can be charged. I tell the population of Trinidad and Tobago here again, without fear of contradiction, the anti-gang legislation is currently being utilized by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. There have been a number of successful charges under the anti-gang legislation, and there are more to come. I've also heard it being suggested, Madam Speaker, and I find it a most weak and even dishonest argument, that this legislation will be open to abuse by police officers. That somehow now police officers, and we heard it suggested a short while ago by the member for Naparima, they will trump up charges and offences to keep criminals to incarcerate them, and then they deny their ability for bail. 2 answers to that. Every single criminal charge on the books and in common law is subject to that. If a police officer wants to trump up a charge that you're driving without a driver's permit, you're using obscene language, you're resisting arrest, it is open to them to do that. So you cannot say with any sense of decency or any sense of sensibility or logic that you should not have a further charge, criminal charge, because it is open.
Sorry about that, Madam Speaker. We should apologize.
A member for Coover South has already dealt with it. Please, let's continue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was making the point that you can't say, don't pass this legislation because it's open to abuse by the police, because every single criminal charge, common law or statutory, that argument falls within that domain as well. However, Madam Speaker, the second part of that argument is that what you're doing is you're giving the police service a tool that they've requested in their fight against these serious offenses, but as we see it, also a fight against the repeat offenders who want to carry illegal firearms. Give them the tool. Let them use it. The Commissioner of Police, who was then the Minister of National Security, is on public record now as Commissioner of Police as saying that when he was Minister of National Security, the then government gave this tool to the police service, and they saw the drop. That, you want to go back to statistics, go back to those statistics. Why would anyone want to prevent the police service from having this tool? It could only be, Madam Speaker, that they want to see crime flourish. And I know that my friends on the other side don't want to see crime flourish in Trinidad and Tobago. I have listened carefully to some of them in the public domain saying that they want to fight crime and saying that they want to support every fight against crime. Well, I ask all of you all here this afternoon, members of the opposition, with the greatest of respect and as a member, as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, I ask you to give the police service the ability to fight crime. Give them a fighting chance, and the citizens out there a fighting chance against illegal firearms. As a citizen, I make that request of you here today. Illegal firearms are not produced in Trinidad and Tobago. We are aware that they come across our borders, but they did not start yesterday. They started some time ago. And I am not here today to throw any blame or cast any aspersions, anyone on any administration. Because you see, Madam Speaker, it's the citizens today who are asking for our help. It is the police service today who are asking for our assistance to fight crime. And it is incumbent on all of us here this afternoon, those who have come out here today in the middle of their vacations, to give the police that fighting chance. And I can tell you as the Minister of National Security, Madam Speaker, through you to the citizens, we are doing all that we can with the limited resources that we have on the borders to prevent this stem and systematic flow of illegal firearms into Trinidad and Tobago. Contrary to what I've heard suggested in the past 2 weeks, our radar system is working. Our radar system is fully operational. Madam Speaker, I personally went and saw the functionality of the radar system the day after, or a few days after, the registration of the Venezuelans ended. We are upgrading the radar system, but it doesn't mean that what is there isn't working. And I'm proud of the cabinet that I serve as a member of. Last week, they took a decision, cabinet took a decision to further upgrade the radar system with technology that will further give us a better than fighting chance. And to the fishermen and the families of the fishermen that the member for Couva North represent, I have already expressed my sincerest sympathy and condolences to them, and I do it here again today. And I tell them that this technology we're investing in is going to help us to fight against those reoccurrences. And I ask them to encourage all of the other fishermen who must go out, install the GPS devices in, work with us at National Security, and we will do all that we can. We have also been having on-land operations on our borders, because when the illegal firearms coming in, we're stopping them at the borders. You saw the results last weekend with some persons who ran away. That wasn't by chance. It is intelligence-driven operations, and I'm not going to tell the population how it's being done, because we will lose the advantage that we have. But when we picked up those 2 AR-15s, an AK-47 and a Tech-9 on the beach in South, that is because we are manning the borders. We are using all of the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard vessels in the fight against crime. We are also using all of our resources to get more interceptors on the water. The Commissioner of Police at a meeting with me this morning at 7:30, as we met with the business community, told them that within the space of 2 months, he should have his marine branch up and running. That is to complement the Coast Guard. We are gathering the intelligence, both human intelligence as well as via technology. All of this being done to stem the illegal flow of firearms into the country. The 2 hostile Cape-class vessels, I can't do anything to change the past. No one in here can. But that is the decision that we took to supplement and to increase the border proficiency, the border patrol ability of Trinidad and Tobago. Those vessels are still on time, and we're going to take delivery of them next year. In the meantime, I give the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, Madam Speaker, through you, the assurance that I will not sleep day and night in the fight against crime. But you see this bill that we've come here today, colleagues, to debate, Madam Speaker, this bill is an important element, an important tool in the real fight against crime. Take the politics out of crime for a second. This is what we need to support. And I ask that we all give our support to this. Let us give the police a fighting chance against that criminal element. You saw last week, just in 2 occurrences, 2 out of the 312 murders committed for the year, the barbaric ways that the criminal element are prepared to take the lives of our law-abiding citizens, and even the non-law-abiding citizens, for example, on the North Coast. Those were all done with the use of illegal firearms. We're also saying through this legislation, keep our children safe. Keep our children, who are the subject by the most heinous beasts of predators to sexual offenses, keep them in jail. We don't want them out in society amongst our young children. Support this piece of legislation, colleagues, and it will make a difference. I've heard what has been said about the Forensic Science Center. I'd like to assure the population, or to give them this piece of news. For the first time, we have finally managed to get 4 forensic pathologists in place with the full complement. I thank my predecessor, Minister Dillon from Point Fortin, who began the work. We managed to complete it, and for the first time in decades, we have 4 forensic pathologists. I have gotten the assurance of our ballistic officers at forensics that any case that the Commissioner of Police and his men and women want expedited, they will drop what they're doing to expedite that case, to help, and that's their contribution in the fight against crime. The CIRU unit is back up and running efficiently and functioning. That too helps. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Armorer is also assisting. So all of these false calls and dog whistles sometimes about nothing is working, it's not true. But it is disheartening to those who are involved in law enforcement and involved in intelligence, putting their lives on the line every single day in the fight against crime, to sometimes hear us as politicians put the blame on them. Where there should be blame, put the blame. But don't just make these broad brush statements and say nobody is working and nobody is doing what they should. So, Madam Speaker, those are my contributions. And I'd like to end, if you would permit me, by sincerely thanking, as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago and as a representative for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, thanking those men and women in our police service, our defense force, or even immigration or fire services, the prison services, and all of those that fall within the sphere of national security, for waking up on a daily basis, putting their best foot forward, sometimes their lives at risk in this fight against crime. And we will not rest. I want the criminal element to know that despite all of the noise out there and all of the distractions, we are focused. We will continue with our commitment in the fight against crime. And I ask for full support for this bill to give us that fighting chance to protect our law-abiding citizens. Thank you, Madam Speaker.